Welcome to Reform the LA Way. I'm Monica Garcia, and on today's show, our focus is pilot schools or teacher-led academies. We'll see what makes them different and how they benefit student achievement. Joining me to discuss three of the LAUSD's recently approved pilot schools are Yolanda Salazar from the School of Business and Tourism at Miguel Contreras Learning Center, Travis Miller from the Critical Design and Gaming pilot at Augustus Hawkins High School, and Michael Dean from the Early College Academy at LA Trade Tech. Welcome.
Thank you.
Leaders of leaders.
Thank you.
So I like to call pilot schools teacher-led academies because that's what Richard Alonso used to call them. Who wants to start? Tell me about your school, and congratulations, you've all been approved as pilots. Michael, let's start with you.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to go pilot. I know you're a big advocate for the pathway. We started in 1994 as a way to keep kids in the community instead of busing them to the faraway valley schools. And it turned into this wonderful bridge program that takes really high at-risk students and not only graduates them from high school, but also gives them college classes and a head start on college as well.
That's wonderful. So how many students in your program?
Well, right now we have about 200 throughout the year, but we're looking to expand. We want to take what we've been doing at Trade Tech for 18 years, and we want to franchise it and have one of our academies on each one of the LACCD community college campuses.
So you have a goal of serving, do you have there's 9 campuses, you'd like each one to have 400 or 500 kids?
Well, I think if we had like maybe 200 kids on each one, but then the whole school would be a combination of the whole thing, and then we'd have like an assistant principal hopefully on each site. I think the smaller it is, I think 200, you really get to know the kids.
So your model is 200 students?
Well, 200, 250.
Okay.
And because there are some limits on how many college classes we can get them into, but it's a really interesting model.
So you said, how many years in the Jefferson community?
18.
18.
In fact, I started teaching there in 1994, and I've never worked at the Jefferson main campus. I've always been over at Trade Tech.
And help me with how you ended up as a pilot school.
Well, a lot of the things that we do at Trade Tech, we have to try to make it fit into the into the LAUSD model. Okay, like for example, the bell schedule kind of doesn't fit with the Trade Tech class schedule. So in our pilot plan, we said instead of following the Jefferson bell schedule, we could follow the Trade Tech class schedule and follow their blocks. So we usually have Monday, Wednesday college classes and Tuesday, Thursday college classes. So we're going to have Monday, Wednesday high school classes and Tuesday, Thursday high school classes during the same blocks. Because right now we're trying to jam all the kids into the few blocks that do match up. Like at 10 o'clock, we try to get all the kids into a college class, and that's really hard to do because that's prime time. But if we change our schedule, then we can sprinkle the kids throughout the day.
Sure.
And that way there's only like maybe 5 or 6 kids in a college class surrounded by adults who model the importance of education.
Sounds great. So part of the pilot flexibility is that you get to design your schedule.
Right. Well, another beauty of it is we have access to the whole Trade Tech schedule. Like a lot of schools are saying that they don't have any electives. We have every college class that they could possibly want to take as a possible elective.
All right.
So kids are in sociology classes, they're in PE classes, they're in health, art. I mean, it's just amazing. And we can do it with four or five LA Unified teachers, but we can serve all these kids and offer them all those options.
Wow, we talk about change, and that certainly sounds like change. Ms. Salazar or Yolanda, tell me about what's going on at your school at Miguel Contreras.
Well, we originally were an SLC born about 17 years ago at Belmont, so I'm part of the Belmont Zone of Choice. And at some point, we were happy being an SLC at Belmont. When they were opening the new schools, they said, "You guys want to move?" So okay, fine, we moved to Contreras. And then we were thinking, when are we going to go pilot? And finally, just as he was discussing in terms of the flexibility for scheduling, flexibility for the periodic assessments. We believe in periodic assessments, but we just want the flexibility. So, because we're very project-based learning, we're linked learning school. So we need the flexibility to incorporate all the other things that we're trying to do, in addition, of course, to work-based learning, which is something we strongly believe in, which is very hard to do with the very rigid, I think, structure we're currently in.
So Contreras opened in '06, was it?
Yes.
I want to say,
Yes.
okay, '06. And you developed as an SLC, and what made you decide we want to go pilot?
We wanted to have more flexibility. That's basically, we wanted to have more flexibility, and also I think the idea of having control over the budget was also very attractive, of saying, okay, we can actually say how many teachers we want, how do we use the money. So I think that at that point, I mean, our school is lucky. We have a CPA, and we have linked learning money, so we have 2 additional funds. But you know, we can always use more money, and we want the flexibility to do that, and to have the flexibility with the curriculum too.
That's wonderful. And how many students do you have at your
450.
school? And now, help us with your one school of, are there 4 schools now
Yes,
at
there are
Contreras?
4.
And how does that work? So you're all co-located? You share a campus?
We share a campus. There's one that has been, ALC has been pilot for 3 or 4 years. Global has been semi-autonomous, and social justice is also going pilot this year.
And what's that experience, teachers sharing space?
Well, you know,
schools?
it comes with its challenges. For the most part, I think we respect each other, and we try to, you know, work out any issues we have. You know, athletics is probably one of the harder things to make sure we have the schedules to support that. But they do. I think they do. But I really don't work too much on that side of it. I work more in the classroom.
Sure, sure. And all the students get to be Cobras, right?
All the students get to COVID, no, whether we're pilot or not. They're all Cobras.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Travis, what can you share about, this is a brand new school also, Augustus Hawkins.
Yes, brand new
Tell us a
school
little bit.
physically and brand new school organizationally. So I'm from CDAGS, the Critical Design and Gaming School on the Augustus Hawkins campus, and we share the campus with 2 other schools, CHAZ, a Community Health Advocate School, and RISE, the Responsible Indigenous Social Entrepreneurship School. And together, we're under the umbrella of SCA, the School for Community Action. That's a lot of acronyms.
Wow.
Yes.
Wait, that's new and exciting. You got to run that through us again. So you all applied to serve Augustus Hawkins High School
Yes.
as a team of 3 schools.
Yes, we were a group of teachers from Manual Arts High School, where I taught for 12 years. And in that time, we had a lot of turmoil at Manual Arts High School, a lot of turnovers in administration. We didn't really get along with our local district. We had a lot of mandates. And a group of teachers came together and said, we try really hard to reform here on campus, and we get knocked down. Let's make schools that would be our dream schools. Let's design a project about dream schools that our students deserve. And we looked at what a lot of other schools are doing, a lot of other pilot schools, a lot of schools in the public school choice movement, and came up with plans, applied under public school choice, and then were awarded Augustus Hawkins. And so we applied as 3 schools under one umbrella. We share the same teaching philosophy and the same concern for providing the students with the schools we want to see them have. We just have 3 different themes.
See, now you are even a new and improved pilot, because we didn't have that strategy. I remember at Nava, at Julian Nava, 2 groups of teachers from Jefferson actually applied to run Nava Learning Center, which was a middle school, and they partnered us up with Synergy. So they wrote together for that campus. But this is very interesting. So how does any of this work translate to better services for students? How do you know it's working for your kids?
Well, we've traditionally got the most underserved kids at our school. A lot of them have, had children and missed a lot of school. A lot of them have failed a lot of classes. We have several students who have failed over 200 credits that come to our school. But when we get them on the college campus, they're surrounded by people who appreciate education and model proper behavior, proper study habits, and it just kind of takes away all their reservations about continuing on and going on to college.
Wow. So do the students self-select, or are they referred?
Most of them are referred by the counselor, saying they're not on track to graduate anymore. And it's amazing the turnaround that they can make.
Tell us a story about one.
Well, there's a student right now who came having failed 200 credits. He only had 80 credits of his own, and now he is getting straight A's with us. He's taking 9 college units, and he's getting A's in all the college classes. It's just an amazing turnaround.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really awesome.
And that's key, is the student engagement, because that's going by what you're saying. The same idea that we're trying to do is have the students. Education isn't what it was 20 years ago, and a lot of people don't understand that. We can't just stick to textbooks and doing questions out of the book or in lecture. It has to be the students have to be engaged in the school, but also engaged with other organizations. I have several organizations that work with Contreras, such as LAAP and Junior Achievement, but I also have the kids do internships outside during the weekends, or sometimes during the school day, because that makes them feel too like, oh, you know, there's a point to all this. Because a lot of kids, why am I doing this? Why do I have to read this? So that to me has been very invigorating. That's what's kept me in teaching 20 years, when I see that.
And we forgot to say, you're a Belmont grad.
I am a Belmont grad, yes.
And so how has that experience of being a student in that neighborhood, and which I call the cradle of reform, but
yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, when I was actually in college, I was going to major in law. And I was doing a little bit of TA work at Belmont. And once I started that, I said, I loved being at Belmont as a student. And so I returned to teach at Belmont because I loved the atmosphere. I loved the teachers that were there. And so I wanted to continue that. And so I always tell the kids when I get annoyed, because sometimes I'll say, guys, you're not doing what you need to be doing. And they know that I'm talking as somebody who grew up in that area. Yeah. So who understands that I understand some of the struggles that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
And they need to find a way to, find a way to get through them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we're going to hear more. We'll be right back with my guests to delve deeper into the work that they do in their newly launched pilot schools right after this KLCS News Brief all about pilot schools.
Today we have convened all of the 32 pilot schools that exist throughout Los Angeles Unified School District for a day of day-long retreat and planning to really focus on 3 areas: what's working, what's not working, and then how do we pull that together to really plan for future solutions.
One was just to energize folks, to have them hear from Dr. Daisy, from Ms. Garcia about the good work that they're doing, have them share best practice as well so they could hear from each other about their good work. And then we also wanted to build a feeling of a network. We have so many new schools over the last 2 years. We wanted to build that cohesion. And then we also really want to spend some time doing some future planning. So what does it mean to be a pilot school? We now have this new agreement that allows for other schools to have autonomies as well. So what makes it different to be a pilot versus one of these other schools? What are we going to agree on as a network is important for student learning? So those are some of our goals for the day.
And I'm here to network with other pilot school teachers and leaders and learn more about how to make our schools great as possible and to support our teachers and students in our work. Pilot School Network is not necessarily new. A lot of schools have been working together in different ways, but today's work, I think, is sort of formalizes the relaunching of the network. Some of the pilot schools that are here have been in existence for 5-6 years now. Others, like mine, have been in existence for about 5 or 6 months. And so there's a lot of expertise in the room. The teachers and leaders in this room have spent, some of them, decades working on trying to improve conditions for teaching and learning at LA Unified. And so it's a great group of people to learn more from and to help build a new future for LA Unified.
Part of it is also that they learn from one another what's working, and they can focus on successes and really leverage the successes at one school that sometimes get isolated and no one really knows about. So right now they're going through this World Cafe process to learn from one another how they can really implement new ideas across the pilot schools and not allow them just to be in one location but across all locations.
Welcome back to Reform the LA Way as our conversation continues on the 3 new pilot schools recently approved by the district. And the question was, how do you know this works for your kids? Travis, help us.
So we know it works for our students because for years the students in our community in South Central have been going outside of their community to schools that offer them more opportunity. and the schools that within their community are stuck just offering catch-up classes and intervention classes for the most part. So at Augustus Hawkins, we wanted to create a school that would be a school anyone would want to go to. We are a neighborhood school first and foremost, but people can permit in if they want to from outside. And so we are dedicated to teaching the students within our community, and that is, we have 5 core values, and one of them is a student-centered, the other is community collaboration. We designed our schools with students and parents from the community helping us write the plans together, and held community meetings saying, what kind of schools do you want your children to go to? So we've had a lot of community input, and we're dedicated to teaching students within our community. So we know that this is a school for them, and if you're going to teach at our school, this has to be a community you want to teach in.
And so attendance or relationships or collaboration, do you see behaviors that also tell you the pilot way was the way to go for you?
Yes, it's interesting to ask about attendance. So I've been teaching 9th grade English for 12 years in the same community, and we split the students with manual arts. So I'm still teaching students now that I had in 10th grade that I had in 9th grade when I was back at manual. So I've never had this high of attendance with 9th graders ever. My 10th graders have a lot of attendance issues, and our 11th graders who came over with us have the most attendance issues carrying over with them. But something is happening with the brand new school building, with the program, and with our effort to be student-centered, where we're having a high attendance rate in 9th grade.
That's amazing, huh? Kids tell you what works.
Yes.
What are you seeing from your colleagues?
So from our colleagues, because we're working so closely together, we have one principal in each school, and these are all first-year principals, but they are absolutely dedicated to what we're doing. So we spend 100% of our time working on teaching for supporting our students, and 0 time in power struggles between administration and teachers. We meet in small collaborative groups. We meet a lot, and we plan a lot, and we do a lot of work. But we do it because you see the results and success with the students. It is concerning that it would be nice if we didn't have to work this hard, if we could spend more time focusing on a smaller amount of students. And we worry about burnout. There's a lot of teachers that are saying, I don't know how long I can keep this up, but hopefully with Prop 30 and issues like that, we can address that by bringing more teachers into the mix and lowering class size.
And isn't it great that, I mean, I call them teacher-led academies because I think they are, but you just brought up, you can't teach in isolation of what the state does or how the dollars get allocated. And certainly flexibility is part of the pilot school structure, but we all know we're 49th in the nation in per pupil spending. So when we talk about flexibility, do you have flexibility of $2 or $2,000, right? Yeah. So you're absolutely right. This is what's kind of amazing in the pilot effort, where people haven't necessarily gotten more, they've just gotten to use it differently, right? So how do you all see your colleagues and the adults responding to this kind of effort?
Well, the way we have it set up at BT is each team, we call them grade levels. So there's 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade teams. So they work with 100 kids. So they have what we call project-based learning, which is part of linked learning. And they basically plan together what they're going to do, how are they going to meet their content standards, doing an assessment, a benchmark that we might bring business people to come and see what's going on. So we try to encourage people not to have closed doors. That's the first step. Mm-hmm. To be everybody's on the same page. If I know what my neighbor's doing, then it makes me a little bit, like, okay, it's more open, as opposed to, again, going back to the old way of teaching, whereas everybody closed the doors, nobody knew what was going on.
So really very isolated. And what else would you call that other old way of teaching?
Well, the traditional way where you're lecturing, but is anybody learning? Yeah. I think we need to move away, especially now we're competing with technology. We have lots of English learners. Right. They can't deal with a 1-hour lecture. They just can't pick it up. They have to be doing things. They have to be talking. That's the way you learn.
And so you're able to build a program for specifically your
And that's what our PBL is basically they have to talk, explain their ideas, create something. So if you're creating something, you're part of doing research or what have you, then you'll be able to explain it. Yeah. So you're speaking, you're doing. That's what we're trying to do. do.
You say it in such a it's common sense. This is what happens.
It's
Travis,
common
you wanted
sense.
to say something else?
Well, just that, I mean, already the school system, the school structure, the traditional school structure, locks us into disciplines, that this is an English class, and this is a math class, and this is a science class. And in the curricular design and gaming school, we look at design and game theory and game applications, and this is a melding of all disciplines. And there's no degree in game design that you get that sets you just up as a game designer. And so in order to make students that are flexible and fluid and can take skills from different areas and blend them together, we have to do a better job of blending the curricula itself. And so this project-based learning, forcing you, if you're comfortable in just an English setting, to get out and work with a math teacher and find out how you can take your skills and match them up so that the content mixes with the process.
That's what the Common Core standards are going. Isn't that?
That's what they tell me. We've heard Dr. Aquino say it a couple of times. The integration of the skills and the content is where we're headed.
If that's what we're headed, then I'm very excited because that's what we're trying to do. So I mean, that's what I'm hearing. There's going to be some group evaluations and, some regular an essay question, and the students are going to be together, getting together and create something, and then they're going to be able to present it or something like that.
We're
That would be
piloting the
great.
assessments, the
Oh, yeah.
smarter balance assessments. We're just now learning about this.
That would be
Wonderful.
great.
So you all are leaders in the in-district reform, and you're helping us reach that level with the Common Core and our new system. Michael, what can you share with us about your colleagues?
Well, there's
embracing
only 5 of us.
Okay, well, that's
We have
different.
an English, a math, a social studies, and a science. And in our program, we're able to build in a common planning time because at 10 o'clock, all the students go to their college classes. So we're able to talk about the students, plan project-based learning projects for the students. And the reason we all get along so well together is because we're focused on the students. The adults all get along really well if they keep focused on student learning and student achievement. And the design team that we put together does that very well.
We got to say that again, huh? It is all about the students. And when we're focusing on keeping the main thing, we're going to see graduation go up. So we hope that folks that watch you today get inspired and feel their own agency and decide they want to lead too. What kind of advice do you have for folks who are maybe thinking about my school needs change too, or I think we could do it better if we only had an opportunity? What do you say to folks, other teaching professionals who are watching you lead?
Well, I think the process was not that difficult. We wrote a public school choice plan earlier, and the pilot school application wasn't that much different. But it also gives you a chance to focus on what you're doing. Is what you're doing working, and how could it be better? And the whole application process lets you reflect on that and talk to each other and see what would work better that you're not doing right now.
They tell us reflection is good. What do you think, Yolanda?
I think it has to be gradual. If we started with 100 students, we moved on to 400. When we were doing our original PBLs, they had nothing to do with our pathways, but we were starting. Now we're much better, so I think people need to take it a little. So find a teacher maybe you want to collaborate with, then maybe expand the amount of students. I think you just have to experiment. Be willing to experiment. I think that's what it is. Team teaching might not be for you, but there's something out there that would work.
Sure.
I would encourage teachers to stand up for what they believe in and look at the supports they had. I had a lot of strong union support. I was a chapter chair. So I was being told to do things in the classroom that I knew were not getting the results. And so we looked for support and found it. At the same moment that at Manual Arts we were being told you cannot teach this, the superintendent's committee was saying, we love this thing that you want to teach, here's a brand new school. So it's amazing how just a change of venue can be empowering. If you know that it's helping the students and you see it, then you've got to stand up and fight for it.
Yes, and I've gotten to meet so many hardworking men and women who come and really offer us the best they have every day. And I think at Belmont, at Manual Arts, at Jefferson, what I like to say is we didn't change the kid. All of a sudden you didn't get a whole new block of students. We changed our relationship with them, right? So flexibility in curriculum and schedule and budget and staffing and governance. I think those are, it sounds like again, almost common sense, right? It is hard work. I will agree with you. I remember Julie Washington said the teachers at the RFK schools are happy and exhausted.
Yes.
But that's what it takes, right? So we do hope that help is coming in California. But I think what you all are doing in transforming schools and communities and neighborhoods is just really amazing. Any closing comments as we wrap up?
Well, I think it's important to build relationships when you're starting a new school. We've been at Trade Tech for 18 years now, so we've had relationships. The dean in charge of our program just became the vice president, and she's always been helpful opening classes for our kids. So establish relationships and nurture them.
All right, establish relationships and nurture them. You said, Yolanda, you told us to experiment and go slow, and anything else?
And like you said, build relationships, especially from the community. We're near downtown. There's a lot of businesses out there, so we want to reach out to them and see if they will offer us job shadows or internships, or LA Inc. gives us $10,000 in scholarships per year.
Fabulous. Travis?
I hope the whole world will help us stop the sequester so that we don't lose $37 million right here in LA.
Very good. Well, thank you all, and thank you for joining us. If you want to learn more about the reform efforts taking place at the LAUSD or to contact me, visit lausd.net. As we continue to reform our schools in order to create the best educational opportunities for our students, it requires all of us to do our part. I'm Monica Garcia. Together, we will reform education, achieve 100% graduation, and make the LAUSD the best school district in the nation.